Aloha and welcome to Women Unleashed Online Retreat Summer Session. It's our opening session. I'm so excited. So today, a couple things. We're going to go ahead and help you get started by getting your Women Unleashed journal together. And next, we're going to go ahead and put together a sacred space for you during our time. And just kind of get you acquainted to the experience and what we're going to do together. So again, my name is Amber Quile Marlani Benici. I'm your retreat host and just looking forward to these next 10 days together, what we experience and growing and learning in a really fun and different way. Now, what I'm going to do every single time we start our session is to get us present and to get us grounded, because nothing is more powerful than being present. We can't open to intuition or creativity or even our passion if we're not present. And so wherever you're at, get yourself comfortable. I've got this nice little cozy chair here. I'm going to take a sip of my tea. And go ahead and close your eyes. And I want you to sense the soles of your feet. I want you to sense the edges where your toes are touching the ground, or if your feet aren't touching the ground, just even noticing the backs of your legs, your buttocks where they're touching on the seat. And I want you just to notice that connection between your body and what is holding you up or supporting you. And as we breathe together, I'm going to want you to see if during each exhale, if you can release more and more into that support, knowing that you're held every moment of the day. And so inhaling in, exhaling out. Inhaling in, exhaling any distractions that came before this time. Inhaling in last time, anything you're worried about that's to come. Exhale out. And when you're ready, opening your eyes. Here we are. So if you saw the supply list, you saw to go ahead and make sure you have a journal. Any journal will do. That you have a paper bag, you have a pen, markers, yarn, scissors, glue, maybe some crayons, and maybe some watercolors if we want to go that way today, and an old magazine and scissors. I already said that. Okay, so before we start though, what I like to do is talk about intention. That what we're really doing with this session is setting our intention for the rest of the time. We are kind of setting our anchor place. We're dropping anchor in a certain area so that we can have like the most expansive growth. I like to think of intention as a way of like we're pointing ourselves in a certain direction by setting intention instead of just being open to whatever comes. I find that if I've set my intention, then there are less decisions to make. If I set my intention that this retreat, I'm going to have a heck of a lot of fun, then I'm not going to make decisions that aren't fun. Or I'm going to be more aware to make decisions that bring me into fun, that invite fun. And so I want you to think about when you signed up, when you thought about taking a retreat, what was there that was attractive to you about that? What was there that made you go, that feels really yummy to me? What's that yummy thing there? And I want it just to sit with that. And we're going to come back to it and we're going to see if it shifts at all. But just notice that. So one thing I like to do before we get to our journal is we're going to create a space to remind us of all the transformation and the things that we're doing during this time together. I like to call it my sacred space. Here's my sacred space right here. But you can also set up your sacred space next to your bed in your bedroom. You can do it in the bathroom or in the kitchen, someplace that you're at a lot. And what I like to do is I like to think of what is my intention? What am I focused on? And then finding things to remind me of that. So it doesn't, we're not going to make an altar table in the traditional sense where is intention and focus. So for me, sharing about my altar table, for me, my focus has been about nurturing myself during this experience, having fun and connection, and also spiritual connection for me. So everything on my table represents that. I have the red thread, which represents my connection to others, as well as this stick right here, which is from my art mentor, Sue Hoya Sellers, Land in Terra Sophia. Remind me of my ancestors. And I have the light, which reminds me to be the light and to connect to the light, to God. And I also have feathers, which to me represent my connection to spirit and really being, letting God, spirit, source work through me. And then I have this right there, which is a statue from Malta, which is a reclining woman to remind me to stop and to nurture myself and to rest. So during the next couple days, or even during our whole experience, look around your house and see what objects kind of call to you and say like, I want to put these over by me so they remind me of what my intention is for myself. Okay? I would also love for you to take a picture of your environment and share it with us in our Red Thread community. All right, so who's ready to get started on your journal? Before we do that, I want you to close your eyes. We're going to do a little visioning, super short. So close your eyes again, get comfy. I want you to imagine that you are in the top of your head and you are slowly, slowly drifting down from your head, past your heart, all the way to your belly. Go ahead and put your hands on your belly. And just feel it as you inhale and you exhale. And I want you to imagine that the center of your being is a bright, bright light, shining. So vibrant and alive. And you start to walk towards the light. Can't see anything because it's so bright. And as you walk past it, you see a forest. And in the middle of the forest is a huge tree, so much larger than all the rest. And so you start to walk and you walk into the forest. And I want you to notice any shapes and notice the sounds. You can put your hands and touch the barks of the trees, listening to the sounds as you walk on the forest floor or through with the birds. Coming all the way to the center, the base of this huge tree. And you walk up to the tree and you put your hands on it. And then you turn around and you put your back against the tree. And you imagine yourself with your feet rooting down and your head reaching up. And all the wisdom that's supporting you. And you can go ahead and sit down, still with your back against the tree. And you're going to ask, what is my intention during this retreat? And I want you just to listen with the ear of your heart. Listen to the wisdom of that great tree. Maybe it comes as a whisper. Maybe you hear something. Maybe a forest creature runs past. And you thank the tree, taking a deep breath, and with me, opening your eyes, coming back here. So what we're going to do is I want you to grab your journal, whatever you have, and I want you to write your intention on the inside cover of your journal. So I'll show you some journal options. I have this one, which is just a composition book. I got unlined, but I also use lined too. This is just a journal I found. There's also watercolor journals, moleskin journals. This is one. Watercolors. So just go ahead and write your intention on the inside cover. All right. Now we get to the fun part. So what we're going to do is creating our art journal is, what this is I want you to imagine it as a container for your experience. You're going to have wonderful, amazing experiences. And I want there to be a place for you to connect, for it to be more than just coming in and going out. That this journal and part of using art in it is a way to learn quicker and funner. I don't even know if funner is a word, but yeah, to do it that way. So we're going to be using the right side of the brain and the left side of the brain. We're using words to take notes, to journal, to write, and we're using image, using both sides of the brain to create change in our lives. So here's a couple examples of journals that I've decorated of some different styles, and the two styles that I'm going to show you today. One is by covering, we're going to be covering the journals, but one thing I like to do is you can paint the cover. Here's a painting that I did, the cover of one. And another option is to collage the cover with, you can cut out magazine images and words and have fun with that. I guess really there's three options. You can leave it a la natural if you like to. Here's the back of this one. I haven't done the back on this one, so a la natural is great too. I'm going to show you a way to cover the books, and so go ahead and do it with me. Grab your paper bag, and I'm just going to adjust this so we can get into more working space. You can see what I'm doing. Here we go. Da, 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 da. Welcome. All right, darlings. So I'm going to actually show you how to cover the book using this journal, though you can use a composition book or anything. And if any of you guys used to cover your school books in school, you know what I'm doing here. One thing I want to say before I get started is that some of these things I'm doing as far as the art journal are my own things, but many of the things I'm doing were actually introduced to me by Kat Geller. She is the creator of Smash Booking, which uses intentional creativity and art journaling, and you can find her at streetlightpeople.org and also at Cosmic Cowgirls. She is a wonder. So go ahead and cut. What we're doing is we're going to cut off the bottom. Here's the bottom of the bag. We're going to cut this bottom bag of the bag, so cut around the edges here. Okay, so I've got this huge piece of paper here. It's ginormous, way bigger than what I need. So I'm going to take my journal, and thinking also that whatever whatever you want on the outside, make sure it's on the bottom. I want nothing, so I'm going to put this on that side. I'm going to put my book here in the middle and bring the cover over so that, and I'm going to cut off the rest just so there's some here that's reaching over. Ta-da. Now I'm going to measure this out. So I'm putting my journal in the center and I'm bending the page. And same on the other side. I go ahead and put my book in the center again. Make sure that I get them lined up, the two sides. And then I fold it over. Folding it over, see? Here. And then the other side. Ta-da. Okay, so now you have a couple options here. You can glue it on, glue it, and do it that way. Or you can go old school, what we used to do with the books. Flip it up and slide it in here. See that going, that section, that little pocket there? Slide it in the pocket. So your choice. Today I'm just going to slide them in the pockets for this one. Nice. Here we go. So now I have my cover and I can do whatever I want with it. So fun. What I'm going to show you is a couple things that I like to do to reinforce and to make these journals work for what we're going to do. These are things I've learned from Kat. If you look at my Smash book here, you'll notice that I have thread and yarn. And it's not just for pretty, although it does make it beautiful, but what it does is it reinforces the binding of my books so that when this gets heavy or thick, that this will help hold all these pages together to the cover. So what you're going to go ahead and do is take your scissors and take some yarn or thread, whatever you like. And this is optional depending on what you're using. If you have a composition book, I would definitely recommend reinforcing your binding. You can just make it pretty on the edge. What you're going to do is about every 10 to 15 pages, you're just going to, you don't have to count, you can just take a chunk, flip it open, and take the yarn, make sure you have some extra. And cut this here. Okay. So I've put it around my book, and then I'm going to tie it at the very top here. Looks like the bottom to you. Tight. And knot it up. And then do another chunk of pages and do the same thing. Okay? So you can go ahead and reinforce your book that way to make it extra strong. And I like to do that after we do the decorating, so that you have these on the outside of your cover. Yeah. The other thing that I really like to do is to reinforce the pages, meaning that each of these pages is pretty thin if you pick it up, any journal, unless you have a watercolor journal or an art journal. And you might feel inspired, or you might want to join us doing some painting or watercolor or anything like that. But if you do that, this paper will shred like tissue. So I want you to go ahead and you can just take some glue, grab a glue stick, and glue like every 2 pages together. Boom. And you come with a thicker page. Okay? And so those are the 2 things to kind of make your journal extra sturdy when you've got kind of a cheaper journal. Yeah? So I'm going to show you a couple things that I like to do to help make your journal amazing, even if you're not an artist. Okay? So, excuse me. First thing is color. That there's lots of ways to cover your page with color. You can use colored pencils. You can use crayons. You can use watercolors or paints. This experience, this art experience, is for you. There's no one else that's going to be seeing your journal. You're not sitting next to other people doing this. So this is a total chance for you to experiment and do something you've never done before. So I'm going to show you, we've pretty much all used crayons. One thing about crayons is that because they're waxy, that it might be hard afterwards to write on top. So you might think about using the crayons either for the whole entire page or after you've written with marker or something like that. So I'm going to actually show you with some watercolor. These are like cheapo Crayola watercolors. I also have a nicer watercolor set that I use for my stuff. I have a couple sets, but this is one of them. And I'm just going to go ahead and take a paintbrush and let's see, do I have any water? Yes, I do. I'm just going to show you how easy it is just to put some color on your page. So I'm using these Crayola-ish things, and voila. Here it is, this beautiful, easy, wonderful background that now you can take notes over. or that you can paint over or draw over, but really easy. And I want you to notice that I'm going to tilt this so you can see a little bit better the coloring, especially towards the bottom. You can see that there's some yellow and blue mixed in there. I used a big brush. I didn't worry about getting it all perfect or getting all the way along the edges of the lines. That there's something really beautiful about the imperfections. And so I want you to embrace that this retreat is a place where total art newbies and art people who do it all the time are welcome, but our critics are not welcome. Yes, we know those, the ones that are in your head saying either we're not creative or what we're doing isn't beautiful or it's no good. Yes, we all have that person. So we're going to do our best to keep her at bay, let her go on a vacation during our retreat. Let your critic go on a retreat during our retreat. You can also use, your colored pencils. And, you can take a few of them together and just, like with crayons too, and just play with different color. Okay, so we've added color to your page. So now you know anytime when you're going to do a retreat session, you can add color to it very easily. The next thing I want to talk about is Word. We write all the time, but we're going to see how we can start playing with Word. So, for example, I've got a Crayola marker here, so I can write like I normally do. Here we go. I can write like me. I can write like me. Or I'm going to actually show you a trick that my art mentor, Shiloh Sophia, who's also going to be on a retreat, what she taught me, which is you take the beginning and the end of words and you make them longer. So you're going to see if you can start playing and experimenting some with that. Okay, so I All right, so I want you, when you're writing, to see, okay, are there ways that I can write differently? What can I do? That'd be fun, that'd be different. Maybe if you write cursive a lot, see if you can take notes in blocks. Play around with the way you write. Play with different writing styles. So many options. This journal is also a really great place for doodling. When you are listening to the retreat sessions and just listening to what the speakers are saying, doodle. It's a great way to let both sides of the brain play. You're listening to what they're saying and you're also adding some image or shape. So for example, you might be listening to a speaker and then I'm like, let's start doing some spirals, something really simple. Or maybe I feel inspired to start doing dots. Or maybe I want to play with the edge of my marker. So let yourself doodle. And then I also wanted to mention one more thing during our sessions. So we've talked about adding color. We've talked about taking notes and writing and about doodling, but also adding image. I want you to feel inspired to, if you're feeling or getting information that way, to go ahead and use it, and to not be intimidated to put image, even if you don't know how to draw it. So for example, you can stay really simple. Like, I'm going to do a woman. Here's a head. Here's her arms. And here's her luscious hips. And all my women have like crazy hair. You watch look at any of my paintings and they've all got the crazy hair going. Ta-da! There's my woman. You can add eyes and a nose if you want. And lips. Ding! I've got dings going. You can add a little baby. There we go. Oops. So, just a simple thing to do, so you can do the same thing with flowers, with, any inspiration, anything you get, play with that image and see what you can create. And then the last thing, as far as what I'm going to share with you today, things that you can do, is playing and collaging. So, taking an old magazine, I've got Cosmo here, and go through and see if there are any words that jump out at you or images that you love. Cut them out and add them in. Okay? So those are things you can do during our retreat sessions, and to even decorate the cover of your book. So I'm gonna show you some things that you can do, but meanwhile, while I'm talking, you can go ahead and start decorating your book. You can use anything you want. You can use crayons, you can use markers, anything. Oh, one thing I did want to say is, if you have a journal that has lines in it, I use journals with lines all the time, and you don't want the lines, you can do a couple different things. One, you can just take a piece of paper, piece of plain white paper, cut it out and glue it on. That is really simple. You can also get a product called gesso. And gesso is kind of like thick, pasty, and what you do is you paint it on, and it will give some tooth or some texture to the page, and it will also cover it. So you might have to do a couple layers for it to get white, but those are some tricks of the trade. So as I'm talking, go ahead and continue if you want to continue reinforcing your bindings, if you want to go ahead and glue your pages together, or if you want to start cutting out things from magazines for your cover or drawing, go ahead and do those while I show you some options and things that we can do. So first I'm going to show you some pages of things. Okay, this first page that I did, and I'm actually going to move this up a little bit. Ta-da-da-da. Back to me. Okay, so this first one here is a combination of watercolor, using pen and kind of like writing with, detail, and then magazine, cutting out magazine. This one is watercolor and pen. And this one is actually acrylic paint with paper collaged on or glued on. I also have this, which is again watercolor and Word. These are all for inspiration. This is actually from a class I was just listening to the other day. yesterday, and these were some of the notes that I took. I still haven't added my color yet, but there's some of my image and words, and also writing sideways, writing all different directions. No need to stay in the lines. And then lastly is just another type of inspiration is my watercolor journal. And this is some of the work that I did with Shiloh Sophia and some of what she teaches. But this is the same type of thing. I have notes, and then I have watercolor. And I have my main message and my image. So this is something else you can do is after our session, once you do listen to a session, if there's like one huge takeaway or one big nugget that you got, you can create a separate page that is just dedicated to that. For example, I have one here I want to share with you. Haha. This is one that I did, all about slowing down and surrendering myself. Did that in Tuscany. This is one that I did the other day. Still working on the message, but just playing with image. And this one here I did. So I did the image and then I wrote, "She lives without regrets," because that for me was her message to me. Or this one says, "Unapologetically committed to the path." That was again my main message. So I can't wait to see your journals and what you create, your covers. What I'd love for you to do is go ahead and join us in the Facebook group if you're able to, and share images of your cover, of any, throughout the retreat, any of the images that come up, please share in the group. But meanwhile, for now, I wouldn't call it an assignment, but your invitation is to share images of your cover of your journal and also of your sacred space. And you're also welcome. We'd love to hear what your intention is for our time together. I can't wait to see you over there. And if you're not in the Facebook group, don't worry. There are plenty of us that are not on Facebook too. You can go ahead and reply to the email that's sent out and let us know that way too. I always love to hear from you. Have a wonderful day, and we'll be seeing you when we begin. So see you pretty soon. Bye.